Hello and welcome. Are you somebody looking to achieve one of the highest grades possible in GCSE Maths? If you are, then please continue to watch this video as we aim to tackle the topic of repeated percentage change and reverse percentages. Now, I'm sure you've seen some of our other videos, and this one is no different in that we will be calling upon your prior knowledge and previous understanding. To be more precise, in this video, we will be calling upon your knowledge of the multiplier method, also your effective use of a scientific calculator, and on occasion, your knowledge of powers and roots. But like I say, if you're somebody looking to achieve one of the highest grades possible, then please continue to watch this video. So, without further ado, let's take a look at question 1. If I just scroll the screen down so we can take a look. A jacket is increased by 20%. It is then reduced by 20%. The final price is £96. Find the original price. Well, we don't know the original price. It's an unknown. And as is often the case in maths, when we have an unknown, we represent that value with x. Now, it is initially increased by 20%. So by the multiplier method, that would mean multiplying by 1.2. Just for clarity, I'm going to put 1.20 so you can see how the 20% is represented. It is then reduced by 20%. Now, you may have seen from a previous video, if we reduce something by 20%, we have 80% left. So that would mean multiplying by, and again, I'll put the 0 in, 0.80. And we are told that the final price is £96. So to find x, we need to do x equals 96 divided by 1.2 times 0.8. Therefore, x equals 96 divided by 0.96. Therefore, x equals, and you can check it on a calculator if you like, but hopefully you can see there the numbers are really quite nice. So this might be on a non-calculator paper, but if it gives you confidence just initially, check it on a calculator, but I'm sure you can see from the niceness, the familiarity of the numbers, x equals £100. If you like, you could check that answer. If you reduce 100 by 20%, you get £80. If you then increase £80 by 20%, well, 10% is 8, 20% is 16. 80 add 16 does indeed take you to £96, that final value that we required. Let's move on to question 2. A quantity is increased by 8% and then reduced by 5%. Calculate the overall percentage change. So let's just, a quantity, again I'm going to use x, is increased by 8%. So that would mean multiplying by 1.08. Note, it's not 1.8, that'd be an 80% increase, 1.08. And then is reduced by 5%. If we reduce something by 5%, we will have 95% left. Like so. Therefore, we will be left with x times, and this would be a good time to take your calculator, 1.08 times 0.95. Change the format of my answer to a decimal, times 1.0 0.26. Therefore, the percentage change would be a 2.6% increase. Like so. We must use that multiplier method. We can't simply, oh, we're increasing something by 8%, then we're reducing by 5%. Oh, it's a 3%. Because percentages of a number vary as your number increases and decreases. Question 3. As always, these questions will start at a relatively low level, and then we build up the level of difficulty. And whilst we can never be certain that a question is of a grade 9 standard, question 4, remember, is certainly written in grade 9 of a grade 9 style. Let's look at question 3 in the first instance. An investment increases by 10% in the first year. Hold on, I'm going to write this down as I go, I think, otherwise I'm going to lose track. An investment. So again, I'm going to call that X. It increases by 10% in the first year. I will put the 0 on just for that clarity. In the second year, it decreases by 20%. Well, if we lose 20%, we have 80% left. In the third year, it increases by 25%. So that would mean multiplying by 1.25. At the end of the 3 years, it is worth £6,600. Find the original value. Well, I'm going to do some tidying up here. Again, the numbers aren't really hard, but use your calculator for familiarity. So I'm doing 1.10 times 0.80 times 1.25. Again, whilst looking at the number on my calculator, we could do it in our head. We get x times 1.1. In other words, our starting value has had a 10% rise. Probably doing this in your head, I think the starting value is going to be £6,000. 10% of 6,000 is 600. 6,000 add 600 gives you the 6,600. But look, we've got to go through the process. If we want to work out x, we do the inverse of multiplied by 1.1. We will have 6,600 divided by 1.1. X equals, execute, and as we'd anticipated, our final answer is £6,000. So we have seen an increase. It was an investment worth making, because investments don't always go up. We hear about the stock market crashing and such like. But in this case, after 3 years, on a £6,000 investment, we have made £600. Let's look at question 4. A car depreciates by 12% each year, year on year. So you may have heard of compound interest or compound decay, compound increase in some of our other videos. That's what this is. A car depreciates by 12% each year, year on year. It is worth £18,603.65, a very specific quantity there, after 4 years. Find its original value, give your answer to the nearest pound. That's strange in itself. We're being given a very precise end value, but we're being asked for an answer to the nearest pound. But that's the question at hand. So let's make a start. If we don't know what the car is worth, that's what we're going to start with. So I'm going to call that X. Once again, it depreciates by 12%. If we lose 12%, I will have 88% left. Now you'll notice, although I've already mentioned compound interest, I'm putting my percentage in brackets this time, because we're told after 4 years, and that's where the powers come into play. Equals 18,603 £8.65. You'll certainly need a calculator for this problem, but x will equal £18,603.65 divided by 0.88 to the power 4. Therefore, x equals, and like I say, you'll certainly need a calculator at this point, but let's plug it in, £18,603.65 divided by 0.88 to the power 4, execute. Now, I'm going to give my initial value to 2 decimal places because it's money. So I'm getting £31,021.83. But we're being asked to give our answer to the nearest pound. So I'm just going to do the approximately sign. I'm getting approximately 31,000, and £22. There's our exact answer, and here is our answer to the required degree of accuracy. Now, as always, if we've touched upon a topic that you think you might need further support with, please check out our other videos. But for now, the very best of luck in your quest to achieve one of the highest grades possible in GCSE Maths. Thank you for watching.